Euromaxx highlights. Coming up on the show, True Love, a shop owner in Britain and his beloved teddy bears. Sifting Sands, a Ukrainian and her amazing artworks. Peak Portraits, a Swiss photographer captures mountaineers on film. Euromaxx highlights, and here's your host, Robin Merrill.
And welcome to the show from Berlin. It's winter here in Europe, so let's begin with something seasonal, a snow sculpture festival. It's held in a small town in the Italian Alps and always starts with a competition. Every year, ice sculptors from all over the world gather there to create works of art from a 3 square metre block of snow.
The Art in Ice Festival is taking place in the North Italian town of Livigno. Temporary artworks are on display high in the Alps. Once warm weather comes, they will simply melt away. Russian sculptor Natalia Kristyakova from St. Petersburg is taking part for the first time.
Snow lets to make it very easily. During 3 days you get a huge form. It's impossible to do the same with stone or with wood, so you need more time. And here is, and very nice to see it in the white.
Like all the artists here, she works in a team of 3. Every team has to submit a proposed design to qualify for Art in Ice.
We do a snowstorm. It's supposed to be like that. It's like when it's strong wind and snow making circles, so we try to do it.
The raw material is a 3-metre-high cube of compressed snow. 10 artists from 6 different countries are taking part. The rules forbid them from using power equipment. They can only use manual tools. 2 years ago, Paola Carlavaro, a sculptor from Turin, won the competition. She says she enjoys taking part more than anything else.
The work is called Consequence. It's the sequence of elements that each of us leaves behind during our lives. It can be family, work, or a thought.
The artists have 3 days to complete their pieces. It's a big challenge, especially at temperatures that can drop to minus 27 degrees. The cold makes the snow very hard and difficult to work with.
In childhood, all of us making the snowmen before Christmas, so it's okay. It's some kind of you go to your childhood back, but now you take it more seriously.
These projections should hold without supports and then break off over time. I hope they at least last until the award ceremony.
The sculptures are only completed late into the night of the 3rd day. Just in time for the award ceremony. The onlookers were also able to cast their votes. We asked them what interested them most about the event.
I like the combined hardness, the appearance of longevity, and the transience.
First, it's a technique, how they did, because, this is not so simple. And anyway, for example, this one is very impressive.
Consequenza.
Paola Carlavaro wins the special prize for artistic achievement. Małgorzata Wiśniewska and her team from Poland win the overall prize for connection, a symbol of understanding between different nations and cultures.
Connection between Europe, East Europe and West Europe. So thank you very much.
The extreme cold so far this winter means the Art in Ice creations could last longer than normal.
To England now, and a very special shop for teddy bear aficionados near Oxford. The Teddy Bears of Witney doesn't sell run-of-the-mill cuddly toys, but rather limited editions. And there are also one or two very rare teddies on display which are not for sale. It is a veritable treasure trove for teddy bear fans who make their way there from all over the globe.
You could say Ian Pout is the world's #1 teddy bear fan. He's run Teddy Bears of Witney for 25 years. Today, it is known to teddy lovers the world over. Ian has about 1,000 bears on display in the shop. He sells around 10,000 bears a year, both in the shop and via the internet.
Well, I think it's impossible to define what's so special about teddies. Well, one of the most wonderful things is that well, they're one of the few toys that doesn't break. And the more loved they become, the more character they acquire, in my opinion. And it's extraordinary how people tend to throw away most of their toys. But if there's one toy they don't tend to throw away, it tends to be their teddy bear.
Ian's teddy bears aren't really toys. Most of them are, in fact, exclusive collector's items, fetching 4-digit sums. And some aren't even for sale. In another room, Ian shows us his historic originals and tells us their stories. This one is Othello. Dating back to around 1912, he was created in memory of the Titanic. Collectors can find excellent replicas of older bears at Teddy Bears of Witney.
It's like coming out for a visit, not necessarily just another shop. We have spent up to about a couple of hours in here, chatting, having coffee, looking at all the bears.
When I walk into a teddy bear shop, I normally, some other bear will look at me. And then I purchase that bear.
It was Alfonso that made Ian Pout famous. In 1989, he bought him at auction for around 13,700 euros. Alfonso was a gift to the Russian princess Xenia in 1908. Despite having snapped up such a rarity, many friends still doubted Ian's business idea.
I think they were a little bit worried about my sanity. And I think they really did think I was mad. I'm not joking about this. And when I bought Alfonso for a world record price, I think opinion then became divided. Some people thought I was yet madder still, and other people thought, well, maybe there really is something in this.
Over the years, the locals have grown used to Ian's teddy bear business. Other people also earn a living from teddy bears, like Paula Strethill-Smith. She's been making them for collectors since 1993. She designs a limited edition collection for Ian Pout every year using old materials. This year's teddy is made of 100-year-old mohair.
First, I just made them from furnishing fabrics and anything that looked a bit teddy-like. I didn't know anything about mohair or how teddy bears were really, the history behind them or anything. So then after a while, I was selling these tiny little bears. My dad did antiques and things, and I was selling them, putting them in little children's cups and shoes and things like that. And they were going so quickly, I couldn't keep up with demand.
There's a lot of history behind some of these little guys. And teddy bears are beloved the world over.
It's fantastic to me when we get orders from Kyoto or Japan or Stuttgart or Bern or anywhere, and when people come to us, like I think we had one Japanese customer couple who came straight from the plane at Heathrow on their honeymoon to visit us. I find that very moving indeed.
Teddy Bears of Witney, the perfect address for anyone looking for a Christmas gift with a difference.
Now, of course, at this time of year, if you've been celebrating Christmas, the best crockery and cutlery was set out on the dinner table. The firm of Koch and Bergfeld in the northern German city of Bremen has specialised in top-class silver cutlery for nearly 200 years, and their silverware can be found on some of the most exclusive dining room tables in the world.
These works of art are no ordinary cutlery. They're the quintessence of refinement, particularly in the detail. Silverware from Koch and Bergfeld has a timeless quality that defies any passing trends. The Bremen-based firm is one of the oldest silverware manufacturers in the world. 39-year-old Wigmar Bressel is the man in charge of the company. He's a firm believer in old-school design.
What makes our silver cutlery special is that we generally don't change the designs once they've been developed. What we ship out today is the same product as it was when originally designed.
The 300,000 or so designs from the company's archives are carefully preserved. Koch and Bergfeld was founded back in 1829. The company's emphasis on quality instead of quantity rapidly established it as the #1 silver service producer. Its clientele even included the German and British royal families. Sometimes additional services were required.
There was a shipping company that needed its silverware cleaned when its ships laid anchor in Bremen. It meant a big overnight operation for our entire workforce. Sometimes they didn't make it in time, so we'd follow the ship and try to get the cutlery on board at the next port.
The manufacturing process has changed little over the last 180 years and still relies on meticulous workmanship. First, the silver is molded under enormous pressure. The silverware is then fired for reinforcement. And any surplus is removed from the edges. Finally, it's polished to a high gloss. Every silver spoon manufactured here involves over 24 individual steps.
The exciting thing about a piece of cutlery is the information stamped on the back. Here it says 925, so it's sterling silver. The number refers to the silver content. Every manufacturer has its own logo. Ours is a vase. There's also a crown, meaning it's made in Germany.
The Koch and Bergfeld seal doesn't come cheaply. A 69-piece set in an exotic wooden case costs between 8,000 and 11,000 euros. Regular customers include European nobility and Russian billionaires. Germany's embassies are also loyal to the brand. German diplomats all over the world set their tables with Koch and Bergfeld, engraved with Germany's national emblem, the eagle. But there are also a few well-heeled younger customers.
We often get children complaining that they didn't get a birth spoon. They save up their pocket money, and that means a tidy sum to buy a silver birth spoon with their name on it.
Koch and Bergfeld silverware is the embodiment of beauty and tradition. And what better time to use it than at Christmas?
Ksenia Simonova from Ukraine calls herself a sand animator. A few years ago, when she lost her job, she decided to do something different and started creating sand paintings with her fingers. The creative process is pretty fast. Indeed, she changes the artworks as she performs sometimes, creating a number of images as she goes along, but only one remains for posterity.
Ksenia Simonova paints with sand. In just a few minutes, her pictures tell whole stories. The sand she shapes with her fingers appears in ever new motifs.
Sand is not a mere raw material. It has a life of its own. For me, it's like a mirror that reflects me. It's much more than a working material. It helps me express myself.
The beach at Yevpatoria. Ksenia Simonova began working with sand here on the Crimean Peninsula in the Black Sea. Today, she performs her art all over Ukraine. Her husband, a theater director, gave her the idea of learning to animate in sand.
I asked myself whether I should do it. Would it interest anyone at all? I always wanted to work as an artist, be someone special and do what I like. But at first it was just an experiment.
An experiment that made Simonova famous in Ukraine, especially since the artist and her sand animations won a talent contest on Ukrainian television. A pair of lovers sit on a bench. Suddenly, an announcement is heard over the loudspeaker. It's war. Ksenia unfolds a love story that plays during World War II. Many of the audience members are moved to tears. Ksenia says the most important thing in her animations is feeling, not technique.
It bowled me over. You've just barely taken it in when the face painted in sand changes. It's astonishing. You're in suspense about what comes next. I'm ecstatic. You can tell it comes from deep inside, and we really like it.
She tells stories from real life, stories from her Ukrainian homeland, which always inspires her. But she doesn't use sand from Crimea. It's too coarse for her work.
For me, it's important to work with fine sand. It has to be very fine, the consistency of gunpowder. I could work with gunpowder, but it's not permitted, so I use volcanic sand from Italy.
An exhibition opens in Ksenia's hometown, Yevpatoria. She has always dreamed of this. Now visitors can gaze in wonder at her art. The 24-year-old is versatile. She studied psychology and works as a graphic artist and illustrator. She has been working with sand for just 1 year.
My pieces are all very, very personal. Some developed as sketches on little scraps of paper while I drank coffee. For me, they are all very valuable works that mean a lot to me, because I reveal my personality in them.
Ksenia Simonova says she has meanwhile received an offer from Hollywood and another from the world-famous circus Cirque du Soleil. She has lots of plans for the future. But first, the Ukrainian wants one thing: to continue wowing the viewers with her sand animations.
Now, have you ever wondered who takes those wonderful panoramic pictures of alpine ranges we've all seen in travel brochures or on postcards? Or better still, photos of mountaineers precariously balancing thousands of metres up? Well, the photographer is nearby and has to be quite the climber himself, like Robert Busch. Here's how he does it.
This 30-metre-high incline is the ideal workplace for photographer Robert Busch. The difficult climbing route is located in southern Switzerland in the canton Ticino.
The light today is incredibly beautiful. With the lake and the fine mist, it will definitely provide some impressive backlighting if I can do it right. It could be great.
First, he faces an upward climb to position himself for the shot. Busch has been working as an outdoor and action photographer for almost 25 years. Today, his model is the Swiss climber Pescher Wüthrich.
For me, the picture is perfect when I get the best possible shot from a given situation. If I can look at the picture later and say, if I was in the same situation again, I couldn't do it better.
And then the perfect moment arrives. Pescher Wüthrich slips as he tries to climb over a section of rock. Humans trying to conquer the mountains. That's the focus of Robert Busch's work as a professional photographer. He brings his passion for climbing and mountaineering to his job.
It's a very conscious way of approaching the world. It's unbelievably exciting and very intense. I operate in an exciting world. If this intensity, or part of it, comes across in the pictures, then I'm happy. But for me, it's about making pictures that are interesting to look at purely as pictures.
Bösch's studio is located at his home in Oberägeri near Zug. He works on his images here. Advertising and industry shots, photo reportages for climbing and mountaineering magazines. He's published more than a dozen photo books. His second book, Mountaineering, The Temptation of the Unknown, won him the International Mountaineering Book Prize in 1992.
It was a very, very exciting book to make because it came about at a time when a lot of new movement came into outdoor sports and outdoor photography. There were only a handful of photographers working in the German language world. And we had to conquer so much new photographic territory. It really was a very exciting time.
This was followed by expeditions to the world's highest peaks, to Mount Everest and K2 in Asia, and numerous tours through the Alps. Bösch documented the extreme situations he landed in as both a participant and photographer.
Sometimes I can capture the exact moment I want, but often I can see it would be better if I were positioned somewhere else. But that wasn't possible because we were climbing. The art is seeing the right moment and being able to remove yourself from the stress of the situation. There's the fear, time pressure, the concentration on climbing. You have to take a step backwards and say, now stop, take the photo.
For his latest book, Schweiz Alpin, or Alpine Switzerland, he spent 3 summers capturing the best climbing tours in his home country. It was a dream project for the Swiss adventurer.
I've photographed many other things, but mountain climbing has always remained a core part of my life. I always wanted to make a book, a picture book, about the most beautiful climbing tours in the Swiss Alps.
Robert Bösch is constantly pursuing new projects. He's working on a big advertising campaign for a Swiss sportswear maker alongside his next book. It will consist only of landscapes featuring the mountaintops of the world.
Finally, there's nothing more cosy and warming than a real fire. And somehow the flames are mesmerising and wash all your troubles away. For those with no chimneys, there's a very clean and practical way of reproducing the flames of a real fire using bioethanol fuel. And the fires can be moved around, another reason for them becoming more and more popular.
A cosy home fire without smoke or soot. These flames are fueled by bioalcohol, not wood. Cologne businesswoman Beate Friedhoff refitted her fireplace 2 years ago.
Watching the flames is relaxing and cozy. When you come home after work, you can just turn it on. It helps you relax and it's comforting.
And it's practical too. Bioethanol fireplaces don't need a chimney or a building permit. You don't have to chop firewood, and there are no ashes to clear away.
Bioethanol is made from waste materials from the agriculture industry. This one has a 3-liter capacity, which makes for a decent fire up to 6 hours running full blast.
Bioethanol fireplaces cost between 500 and 4,000 euros. There are about a dozen manufacturers in Germany. They're available in a wide range of designs, from the classic to the modern.
Bioethanol fireplaces have a great future, and you don't have to chop wood. It's very simple, and you can make a lovely fire in any apartment. You can even take it with you when you move.
Even Berlin's clubs and restaurants are rediscovering the charm of the open fire.
It's decorative, and in here it goes with the style of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Our guests love to sit in the lounge with a drink and forget about their day. It gives a nice, warm atmosphere.
But there's one thing bioethanol can't replace, and that's the crackling sound made by real wood burning in the fireplace.
Yes, I still prefer my old-fashioned fireplace. That's it. The compliments of the season from myself and all the crew here in Berlin. Bye-bye.